Okay, I think this is recording now. So this is vlog 2 of August 16th, 2024, and the device is actually recording now. So this is the second vlog again of August 16, 2024. And I was not planning on doing vlogs. I was not planning on that at all. That was not part of any kind of reveal I had in mind prior. But now that I have discovered the depth and the degree and the impact and the fact that I am the targeted parent of parental alienation of not just one child, but both. And again, I did figure out that the younger one was a victim of parental alienation about 5 years ago. Too late for me to do anything about it. When I would attempt to point out the obvious to the correct sources, they were clueless, oblivious, didn't care. It seemed it had no idea what the relevance was. It was like it had no relevance. Despite the fact that my youngest had been lied to from the day one, and they had been told that I tried to murder them before birth and numerous other times. And none of it was true. And in fact, the abuser actually nearly caused the unaliving of my youngest on more than one occasion, including before birth, by his actions and his actions alone. And despite the fact that my youngest would blatantly say in front of specialists that I had tried to murder them before birth, as if the child had witnessed this personally. The other people, even experts, acted like this was maybe plausible, like perhaps my youngest child was some supernatural being, and even before birth was able to float around and witness things and fully comprehend what was going on, and then was later born and was now stating what they had seen floating around as a supernatural being before birth. It's insane. I can't tell you that's what individuals actually were thinking when they heard this, but it may as well have been. There were so many red flags that my youngest was brainwashed, abused, not by me, and a victim of the parental alienation abuse. It was so blatant. And like I said, about 5 years ago, I figured it out. But my older son, I had no idea that he too was suffering parental alienation, and that he, in truth, may have been wondering about things and therefore had questions. And questions, I myself from those questions. So because the outcome to be different to where this situation would be the opposite of what it is, to says I behavior base being a of situation, not that passion at me. And to that, call it. I don't even know if that really is more bad, but it's not abused directly. Just the pan is just way unreachable that create panic. And no, I do not really do or something out of context at those moments. It's not that. I'll try to explain it another time. But anyway, I thought that my oldest had a handle on it to some degree. And I'm just now just starting to process he doesn't. He doesn't have a handle on it, I think. And I think since my total absence due to the alienation, that his whole identity, perhaps, is wrapped up on what the alienator has built and created and manipulated and deceived over lies. And then his identity is 100%, we'll just say, a sport. That's all he is this sports figure with whoever appealing individuals, successful, attractive individuals he can surround himself with. That's his identity, those things. Perhaps. And then he is completely deceived. It's like he is one-dimensional as a human. I don't really know how to describe this. And completely deceived and an absolute totally engulfed victim of parental alienation to the most extreme Jonestown level of cult following, loyal cult following. And as I said in my previous blog tonight, that in recent times, which now it's been a while due to the alienation again, he was primarily deceiving me during the very little contact that there was. Deceiving me to think that he was not completely engulfed in the lies, manipulations, and the delusions, more than likely, that the actual alienator has created and engulfed him with. And due to a recent event, which to me proved it completely, and realizing And I know it may sound rash or flippant without delving into everything, but I'm realizing that I have a lot of major medical issues. I have 3 heart issues. I have autoimmune. I have severe arthritis. I have issues with heat stroking at 80 degrees or above. And these problems are getting worse and worse. In good part, getting worse and worse because of this ongoing situation, because of everything the alienator, the abuser, is doing and continuing to do, including to me. So I am seeing that there is a good possibility I'm not long for this planet. I have to be careful here because the alienator is looking for a way to try to claim things, even if I don't have them, and go to court and try to take the things from me, even if I don't have them. He will go to court anyway and claim I have them. So I have to be really careful. I mean, he's going to do it anyway, but if I say anything and he sees it or hears it and he says, oh, here's this proof, she has XYZ, here's this proof. And then, I have to present all my paychecks and my bank statements and whatever documentation and testify and take time off work. I have no sick days left that I don't have. Get in trouble, get written up, perhaps get terminated from work. And all these things to keep addressing his behavior. There's no way to say it carefully enough, is what I'm trying to say. I basically, because of my health, because of what's going on, because of where I'm going to have to move, because of what the alienator is doing, and the way I'm going to have to live because of what the alienator is doing, which I'm not even making it surviving here because of these health issues and everything, I am probably not going to be, highly likely not going to be on this planet for that much longer. And therefore, I basically, it's like I have to search for a new heir. And the whole heir thing, I mean, part of it is because of my family background and my family culture and the way I was raised and things like that. It's very important with that culture that I come from, the way I was raised, that anything you have, your children are the heir. And then you also try, to make sure that when they're older, you will have things to give to them, right? To pass on. The alienator is making that extremely difficult, to say the least. But long story short, with the combination of everything, it's like suddenly I thought I had an heir. I thought I had an heir, at least one. And because the younger one is too far gone, I thought, I mean, originally, and I do have a will. And no, the abuser cannot have it. No matter what he does, I'm not giving it to him. I don't care what any court says. But initially, they were both on it. For everything that was planned out now or in the future. And before the recent actions of the alienator, I had specific plans for the future. That they would both receive certain things. And then it became clear that the younger one is too far gone, and there's absolutely nothing I can do about it with no contact. I can't fix it. The younger one, over the years, it had become obvious that they are never going to come around. There's never going to be an opportunity to show them the proof, to show them what's true. And they were a threat for the older one because they would try to take away everything from the older one. And I thought that the older one would not be able to defend himself against that. So there were provisions for the younger one so that they would be okay, but the older one was going to, and now that's not possible. And I'm in a situation because of what the alienator is doing and is clearly going to continue doing. So it's never going to stop ever. And where I'm going to have to move and how I'm going to have to live, and the worsening of my health issues and the continuing of the alienator's behaviors. I'm in this really crazy, unfathomable, unplanned for situation. And I have to find another heir for anything I have. And it's like a moving target because I can't know what I'm going to have by the time I end up no longer on this planet. And I'm not doing this out of any spite. It's not like the alienator literally wrote a will that I found years ago before we were apart. He has a son with special needs, and in his will, it said that the son with special needs could have the house and any money and assets if the son with special needs would have nothing to do with his natural mother, would have no contact with his natural mother. That was what the alienator had written in the will for a son from a marriage prior, different relationship. And the mother was a primary parent, the custodial parent of this child with special needs. And the alienator had made a will that if this child with special needs even spoke to his mother, he would lose everything, the house and everything else that the alienator had written up in the will that the child with special needs would get when the alienator passed away. I'm not trying to do that. That's not what I'm saying. This has nothing to do with going no contact with the alienator at all. This has something to do with children that are so far gone and so hopelessly gone that giving them anything would be no better than taking a big doo-doo on it and setting it on fire. Literally. And I was not raised that that's how you treat things or people or things that people give you or, things if I leave the planet a little later, things I could have to give, right? Things of value. You don't poo on it and burn it down and spit on it and then go spit on the grave of the person that gave it to you. And it sounds awful, and it is awful, and it's just mind spinning. It's mind spinning. I haven't processed it. But that's what I'm thinking right now. I don't think I'm describing it correctly. I don't think I'm explaining it correctly. I don't think a lot of people would understand what I'm trying to say. The things that you provide to your children in your will, they're supposed to mean something, and they're supposed to have value to them, and potentially more than just sentimental value. And they're supposed to provide them security and protection and things like that. And that can't exist with children who are so brainwashed, so alienated, so far gone. And maybe they'll just grow up to be future alienators. I don't know. It's just such a bizarre situation. I wish I could explain it better. But I really don't have the words for it right now. And I mean, I will at some point, but I don't have the words for it right now. It's just a realization. They're just completely beyond salvage, I think. And even if either one of them approached me in the future at any point, if I'm still around, how would I even be able to trust that they weren't just doing it to, try to be in cahoots with the alienator, to try to carry out some kind of agenda for the alienator, to try to just take advantage of me, to try to steal from me, to try to do false allegations and steal or whatever. Because if they're that enmeshed, if they're that twisted and warped and sick and just following that Jim Jones, total loyalty, total devotion, then they would be capable of any callous deception, any theft, any allegation, anything. There's literally no limit. They would be the type of people, let's say it's 5 years. Let's say I make it 5 years or 8 years down the road, let's say. And let's say I have like a nice house, right? But I'm really, really medically frail and can't work anymore and can't do anything really anymore, really disabled. They could so easily deceive me, maneuver me out of that house right into the streets, take the house, sell it, for nothing because they, want to buy a new pair of sneakers or something, and laugh the whole time. High five each other. I could I sense that that's totally possible. I don't want to believe that, but what you want to believe and what is, that's two different things. They have been convinced of such horrific and ridiculous lies. I think that would render them capable of anything. So it's kind of sinking in. It's sinking in that even if either one of them or both of them approach me in the future, what would their agenda be? What would their reason be? It wouldn't necessarily be whatever comes out of their mouth. And my older son, I can't even describe what a perfect little boy he was to me. What a hope and a light, and ago, younger, they made statements in front of others, and I was thinking, they're figuring it out. Oh my God, they're figuring it out. And I was hopeful that if the system had made different decisions, that they were young enough that they could just with their own eyes witness what reality is. And then they would totally figure it out and everything would be different. But that's not what happened. The alienator stole them, has continued the parental alienation and other things, and now we are here. Maybe I'm looking at too big of a picture and too much of the future and too much, what am I going to do? Set up, prep for the future, but I've always been that way. And my health is really, really failing. It's really failing. It's bad. And I have to realize I feel like if I don't figure this out before that end point comes, depending upon where I'm at, what I have, what my condition is, it could be really bad. I can't have something senselessly horrific happen that doesn't save them, that doesn't do anything significantly beneficial for them, that's just a joke for them because they are doing what they've been brainwashed to do. This is so horrific. And then their future, God only knows. I guess that's it for now. Thanks.